I'll buy one of your Avengers t-shirts.
And a matching hat.
Yes, of course, I want to complete the ensemble.
Hey, welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Arey, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Episode 5.
Mean green and straight poured into these jeans.
Yes, that's the title of the episode, and it's also how Jen described her dating profile. What are you doing?
Something in here smells great.
I know.
I'm gonna find out what it is.
So before we get into the Easter eggs, I want to talk about the meaning of this episode, because on the surface, this is just a one-off about a copyright lawsuit. But the episode actually has a lot to say about Jennifer Walters, the fashion industry, and how women are marketed to by corporations. The episode starts with Titania's ad, promising that strength is beautiful. Now Titania is marketing her own physical strength as a superhuman influencer, and this strength is beautiful line is also how the men that She-Hulk dates respond to her.
But She-Hulk, She-Hulk's incredible. She's amazing.
Her date even says that Jennifer is not his type. And this push-pull between Jennifer and She-Hulk's identities is at the heart of the character and the heart of the series. But see, She-Hulk is just the embodiment of physical strength. Jennifer is the real strength, the inner strength. Jennifer is the one who went to law school and has to struggle to make her life better every day.
Return to my career that I have spent years building.
She-Hulk also didn't have to earn any of her powers, unlike Jennifer, who had to earn her law degree. Whereas people love She-Hulk because of what she is, you love Jennifer for who she is. So Titania is telling women that they should be more like She-Hulk. You know, perfect hair, Barbie doll body, all of that. But of course, a woman could never be like She-Hulk. She's got her cousin's gamma blood, just like no woman could ever look like the airbrush model photos that we see on fashion magazines. Now, it's funny that The Good Place's Jamila Jamil is playing Titania because in real life, she has criticized both the fashion and cosmetic industries for creating unrealistic expectations for how a woman should look. See, the fashion industry, and really all industries, are built on creating need. You need to buy this product because you are not good enough. Jennifer even points out how crappy these products are.
She's literally selling snake oil.
Titania is known as a famous influencer and is using that fame to push these products. This is a reflection of what's really happening right now in our society. There are influencers right now on TikTok pushing She-Hulk themed makeup. I mean, why watch those TikToks though when you could be checking out ScreenCrush's TikTok?
You have not shame.
And by the way, I'm not saying that all beauty products are crappy or that wearing makeup is bad. Makeup is great, and people should wear whatever they want to make themselves feel attractive and comfortable. But there are a lot of beauty products that just outright lie to their customers, and the big challenge for a lot of women is to find the best products that aren't just selling you BS. Like for instance, moisturizer. Always use moisturizer, men and women. Trust me, it's a great product. What are you doing?
Something in here smells amazing.
It's me.
Oh, it's not you. You never smell this good.
I'm telling you, it's me. It's my new soap.
But you always use that nasty, unnatural soap and deodorant, like that toxic stuff Titania sells.
Not anymore. I switched to all natural products formulated for men, made by Dr. Squatch. They're the sponsor of this video. See, I never even thought about why it's important for a soap to have natural ingredients, but like, think about it. These are the products that keep you clean, and it makes sense that you wouldn't want them to be filled with harmful chemicals. Unlike the snake oil that Titania sells, every ingredient in a Dr. Squatch product is at least 98% natural in origin. So these are just a few ingredients in coconut castaway. We have olive oil, coconut oil, shea butter, and coconut milk.
Yes. I'm getting all that, but also hints of Alaskan glacier mineral clay.
Oh my gosh, Doug, yeah, that's right. That's actually one of my favorite soaps of theirs, which I highly recommend to all of you, called Fresh Falls. And the smells are so much more pleasant because they're made from natural sources. So compare all of that to the labels of most brands, which are filled with synthetic chemicals. So Dr. Squatch has a wide variety of natural products. They have soaps, hair care, deodorant, and more. And I'm telling you, when you shower with these soaps, you can just feel the difference. For instance, this conditioner is called Cool Citrus, and it contains shea butter, avocado oil, and menthol. It smells so good. Like, I really wish that you guys were here so you could smell this.
Yeah, and you're allowed to eat it.
No, don't do that. Do not eat the soap. But Dr. Squatch does offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you try the soap and it's not for you, you get your money back. So if you want to try out Dr. Squatch and support our channel, we have a special code for you. New customers can get 20% off on orders of $20 or more. Use my code DSQScreenCrush and click the link in the description below. Now on to the Easter eggs. So beauty companies try to make people feel like they're not good enough, like you have to change your skin. Just like Jennifer literally changes her skin when she becomes She-Hulk. In fact, this whole series is about Jen learning to be comfortable in her own skin, both the green skin of She-Hulk and her regular skin as Jen. Titania is the perfect counterpoint to Jen because she is obsessed with her outward-facing image and forgets who she is on the inside. She only wants superficial things, even from the men in her life.
What you getting into later?
Fine, you can buy me things.
Whereas Jen's willingness to embarrass herself to show how awkward she actually is shows true strength and true confidence. She actually has to listen to testimony that says she's unattractive, and Mallory recognizes Jen's inner strength.
Look, Walters, what that extremely attractive man said in there, you can do better.
See, every superhero has some kind of push-pull between their two identities. Peter Parker has to constantly make personal sacrifices to keep people safe. Tony Stark was addicted to being Iron Man at the cost of his relationships. And Steve Rogers chose duty over happiness for most of his career. But for Jennifer Walters in the comics, She-Hulk has always been a shortcut to fame and happiness. As She-Hulk, she can party, meet men, be popular and famous. And Jennifer was always more of a wallflower. So Jennifer thinks that she has to be She-Hulk to have a good time, which is not true. She-Hulk's identity is a superficial, outward-facing aspects of Jennifer Walters and her strengths. When we see Jen driving down the highway, her license plate reads 91516B3. 9151 is a reference to one of the many Earths of the Marvel multiverse. Universe 9151 is the What If comic, what if the Marvel superheroes lost the Atlantic attacks. The Atlantis attacks was an event in the comics where the seven-headed serpent god Set attempts to take over Earth. In this comic, we see She-Hulk, along with 6 other female Marvel heroes, get placed under Set's control. The 7 reluctantly become known as the Brides of Set. Now, in the She-Hulk series, you'll remember that Emil Blonsky's Abomination also had 7 wives, or more accurately, 7 soulmates.
They are my better 8s.
But, unlike with Set, they appear to be willing participants. Next, we can hear that Jen is listening to the Pro Se, a Law 360 podcast.
You're listening to Pro Se, Law 360's podcast. Here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Hey, Titania.
Oh, 'cause she's a lawyer.
That's right, but even this podcast, which is just all about her interest in the law, is being infiltrated by this lawsuit from Titania that she just can't get away from. Jed's cousin Ched is very excited about what he thinks is her new makeup line, but when Jen explains that she's not involved with it and that someone else has copyrighted her name, he goes on to mansplain to her, a lawyer, how a trademark works.
The way trademark works is whoever gets there first gets it, you know? So if you would have done yours first, then she wouldn't have been able to done that.
This is a reference to the ending of the last episode where another man attempted to mansplain to Jennifer her own line of work.
But that's my name.
Now that she trademarked it first, right?
Oh, is that how it works, Your Honor?
Yeah.
The show's title logo then plays as we see it's been altered from She-Hulk Attorney at Law to She-Hulk by Titania. This is to reflect that Titania has hijacked Jen's entire life just as she's hijacked this episode of TV. And we've seen this done before when She-Hulk was fired at the beginning of episode 2 and the title read She-Hulk Attorney for Hire. When Jen goes to confront Titania at a launch event for a new makeup line, we see Titania signing autographs. Now this autograph is made out to Z. Z could be a reference to the Hulk and She-Hulk villain Zax. Zax is basically the 10,000 volt ghost from Scooby-Doo 2.
Like the 10,000 volt ghost!
And yet again, we get a reference to the notorious new shoe, the Iron Man 3s. This time, Pug is showing interest in not 1, but 2 pairs.
One to rock and one to stock.
Yeah, you know that, and you don't even wear shoes. High five. Now, it makes sense that Pug is interested in getting these shoes because in episode 3 we could see a recommended video on his laptop reviewing the Iron Man 3s. And this also goes along perfectly with the theme of this episode. He is obsessed with fashion, but in a more like geeky collector way. I can relate. At the Boba Cafe,
What's a boba?
it's an overpriced drink that triggers my tryptophobia.
What's tryptophobia?
It's when you're scared of holes.
Oh, I love Holes. Holes is a good movie with Shia LaBeouf. Why are you scared of holes?
Well, specifically, it's a fear of a pattern of holes. Can we just move on for a second? So Pug's buddy Alonso says the Boba Cafe is supposedly a front for a superhero clothing business. Now, the name Alonso is probably a reference to executive producer on She-Hulk and Marvel exec Victoria Alonso. Here we see a QR code that takes you to Dan Slott's She-Hulk issue number 10, which features a fight with Titania as well as her origin story. So that origin issue really establishes that Titania is somebody who was bullied her entire life and just wants to appear strong in front of others. In the same way, the Titania in this series is using her social media influence to create an image of herself that appears strong and beautiful to the public. In the back of the Boba Cafe, we see a bunch of knockoff Avengers merch.
Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
We've got Avengers, Avengers with an I, Thur, Hawk, and Hawkeye. And then we see that Pug is obviously a fan of Endgame as he's acting out the epic scene of Cap wielding Mjolnir. When Pug and Nikki are trying to get Jen an appointment with the superhero costume designer, they lie and say that Jen is an Avenger, foreshadowing the fact that she will likely very soon be a member of the team in Avengers 5, the Kang Dynasty. When Holloway is scolding Jennifer, he kind of comes off a bit of a jerk. He's a much nicer character in the comics, and up until this scene in the show, he seemed pretty laid back. Now that being said, in the credits, we can see him trying the aforementioned Booty Boost smoothie.
Advertising a She-Hulk Booty Boost smoothie.
and checking out his butt. Mallory Book is a fellow lawyer who also works in the Superhuman Law Division, and we first met her in this scene from episode 3.
Mallory Book is also in the Superhuman Law Division.
Yeah.
In the comics, Mallory and Jen are rivals, and this episode teases that a little bit with some tension between the characters at first. But I'm glad they quickly abandon that and have them become friends.
I am so happy we're friends now.
When Jen is attempting to defend the fact that she didn't bother to trademark her name, she mentions Doctor Strange and Thor as examples, to which Mallory points out those are 2 examples of heroes who are using their real names.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. I'm Spider-Man, then.
In court, Titania greets She-Hulk by mocking her suit and calling her Shrek.
What are you doing in my swamp?
And look, I love this show. I love this character. And I know visual effects artists are way overworked by Marvel projects, but look, there's no denying that the CGI for this character is just not good and obviously incomplete. I'm excited to see how much better she'll probably look when she shows up in one of the movies and after they come back and patch her in the series. Now, if you're like me, all of these mentions of a superhero costume designer made me think that we'd be seeing Daredevil's Melvin Potter. But the designer is none other than Luke Jacobson, a skilled fashion designer from the Marvel Comics 616 universe. He appeared in Marvel's Dakota North comics. When She-Hulk and Nikki are walking into the studio, we can see another customer exiting who immediately made me think of Bullseye because of this pattern on his shirt sleeve. Now, maybe I just have Daredevil on the brain, but this could be a tease that Benjamin Dexter will be back. And we made a whole video about how Daredevil's #2 archenemy of all time can return in the MCU. But at Maximilian Marvel on Twitter pointed out that this is actually actor Brandon Stanley playing Eugene Patillo, aka Leapfrog, aka Frogman, a character who's had some run-ins with Daredevil and who we saw in the trailer for this series. We can also see some nipple armor, which might confirm that Batman Forever takes place in the MCU, but I think this is more likely made for a different comics character who's yet to enter the MCU. This is for your mom. We hear Nikki mention that She-Hulk is related to the Hulk, to which he asks, by blood? Which, yes, they are cousins, but they also share a blood relation in the sense that it was Bruce's blood mixing with Jen's blood in episode 1 and in the comics that gave her Hulk powers.
Jen, get away from me. I'm bleeding.
Next, we see the return of Baywatch Boy, who some fans have speculated might be revealed as a villain in the show after he called She-Hulk a specimen.
As a compliment.
Some had speculated that he may be involved with the Wrecking Crew, who were simply trying to steal a sample of Jen's blood.
Once you turned into She-Hulk, I couldn't pierce that nasty green skin.
Now, I am curious why Todd would be a client to the Superhuman Law Division. Yes, he does go on to testify in She-Hulk's case, but that doesn't appear to be why he's meeting with Mallory. In the comics, Mallory, who is a rival of Jen's, will often take the cases of supervillains just to get under Jen's skin. So in this show, we're seeing Mallory take on another client who could end up being an adversary to She-Hulk. When Todd sees She-Hulk and says,
I know her.
Mallory responds, of course you do, likely because she thinks Todd means that he's seen her on TV. But when Todd reveals that he was having a meeting with his favorite lady lawyer,
no touching,
it's clear that the meeting is not about testifying in the She-Hulk case, but for something else entirely. I think it's possible that Todd may be involved with the leader, this guy from the Incredible Hulk who was confirmed as the villain for Captain America New World Order, and likely the boss that the Wrecking Crew is referring to when they failed to get a sample of She-Hulk's blood. And in the next scene, we see that it wasn't Mallory, but Jen, who came up with the idea of calling Todd and other dates as She-Hulk to stand as witnesses.
Every single one of those dates is a corroborating witness. This is how I win this case.
So back in court, we see Mallory read aloud from Jen's She-Hulk dating profile. She reads She-Hulk's response to what are you looking for most in a partner?
A sturdy back and reinforced king-size bed.
And this is a reference to episode 1. Mallory then references an interview from episode 3 when arguing that Jen has embraced the name of She-Hulk prior to Titania's lawsuit.
So now whether I like it or not, I am forever She-Hulk.
All of She-Hulk's dates from the previous episode testify, including the jerk who left the next morning after seeing her in Jen form.
I made breakfast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
He goes on to say that Jen isn't his type, but She-Hulk is incredible. Incredible, of course, being a reference we've heard several times in the show to her cousin, the Incredible Hulk.
It was incredible.
People love using that word around me.
Here we can see She-Hulk's first date hitting on Titania, and she responds by saying,
Fine, you can buy me things. Let's go.
This reinforces the theme of the episode and the character of Titania in the fact that she is obsessed with material things. When Jen and Mallory are leaving the court, we can see Titania in the background posing for pictures, unlike Jen, who's always trying to avoid the paparazzi. When She-Hulk is back at the designer studio picking up her new suits, we can see that Luke has made her a purple suit. Purple being her and her cousin's signature color because, well, it looks good against green. And then we hear Luke has made her, quote,
I made you a little something extra.
Now Jen says that she doesn't know if she'll really have an occasion to, and then Luke cuts her off. It's clear that this is the superhero costume that we've seen in the trailers, and while Jen doesn't think she'll be needing it, we know that very likely in next week's episode she'll be donning her new costume alongside Daredevil. Charlie Cox stated at D23 that he only appears in one episode of this series, so with this final scene in this episode, I think it's safe to say that his episode is coming up next week. The yellow Daredevil helmet is almost identical to his helmet in the Netflix series, other than the color. Now this yellow collar is reminiscent of Daredevil's original costume in the comics. When Luke says,
"Does client confidentiality mean nothing to you?"
and puts the lid on the box containing the helmet, that makes me think that he's aware that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, unlike how Melvin Potter never actually knew his secret identity. And when Luke places the lid on the box, we hear what sounds very similar to the theme of the suit, which in the Netflix series played the very first time we ever saw Daredevil in full costume.
You were right.
And this is fitting because it's the first time we're seeing his new suit in the MCU. The original composer isn't actually listed in the credits, but I think this riff was definitely inspired by that piece. I'm very excited to see what this means for the MCU's Daredevil. If he's the exact same character from the Netflix series, why is he in need of a new suit? Is this a variant of the character who's never had a suit, or will this be his very first suit? And why yellow?
Stay tuned.
Now, unlike the other episodes of this series, this one did not have a post-credit scene, but at Spidey and TARDIS pointed out on Twitter that in the animated credits, we can see Pug showing off his shoe collection to Nikki. He's holding his new Iron Man 3s, which the channel heavy spoilers pointed out are modeled after Tony's Mark 42 armor from that movie. But behind him, we can see a lot of other Marvel-themed shoes. We have Moon Knight, Black Panther, Cyclops, Captain Marvel, Green Goblin, Namor, Electro, The Thing, Wolverine, Doctor Doom, Hulk, Cable, Captain America, Deadpool, Thor, Falcon, Nova, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Speedball. And most are saying that this one looks like Spider-Man, but it looks more like the Scarlet Spider to me. This is Hawkeye or Kate Bishop's Hawkeye. This looks like Vision, and this one is either Ms. Marvel or Bishop. This one could be Sentry, and this one may be Jack of Hearts. And this one kind of looks like the Juggernaut.
I'm the Juggernaut!
A lot of these characters have yet to even be introduced to the MCU. So what does this mean? Is it canon? Do these characters already exist in the MCU, and they're already popular enough to have shoes based on them? Not to be a party pooper, but I don't think this is intended to be canon. After all, it is a courtroom drawing, and thus an interpretation of what actually happens in the show. So those are all the Easter eggs and references that we found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below, or feel free to @ me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Arey.